Hey Shadowhunters fans, thank you so much for joining us on ET. I'm Leanna Aguilera, and I'm joined right now by the one and only Catherine McNamara. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing. You know, it's been a lot to process. It's been a very
has.
interesting 24 hours, but I'm here, and I'm happy to be here with you.
I'm so glad that you're here. And for all you Shadowhunters fans, I don't know how you're doing after that 2.5-hour finale, but start telling us right now. I will be taking your questions and comments and passing them along to Kat. But I love the fact that you're coming in right now. Your voice is a little hoarse. How was it watching the series finale of Shadowhunters with your co-stars?
It was the only way to do it, to be honest. It was the best way to kind of give a last hurrah and a hail and farewell to the show that we've all cared so much about for so many years. I mean, this show has quite literally been my entire life since I was 19 years old. And that it's such an influential period of your life, given that now I'm in my mid-20s. And something I've realized is it's so much about the people you're surrounded by and the environment you're in that shapes who you become in those years. And I just feel so lucky to have been surrounded by such incredible people in that time.
It has been 3 seasons.
Yeah.
4 years of your life, 55 episodes, and it culminated in a 2.5-hour series finale. Let's talk about this. When you originally read the script for the first time, what was your initial reaction?
So my initial reaction, it's actually very funny. I instantly connected with the character.
Yeah.
I just knew there's certain roles that, you know, from my mindset, an actor's job is to audition.
Yeah.
And you go to that room for your 10 minutes and you leave it there. But there are certain roles that you read and you go, no, this one's mine. And I'm not going to take no for an answer. And that was Clary for me. Funnily enough, when I read the script, I went, gee, Jace really reminds me of Dom Sherwood. Because Dom and I were friends. And I read the character, I was like, man, he would kill this. And then a couple weeks later, I saw that he was cast. And then even more so, I was like, all right, this is it.
Yeah.
This is mine. I'm getting this. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to fight hard for this. And I did, and here we are.
And now here we are. The series finale was so thrilling.
Thank you.
So many different things happened. Let's kick it off, first of all, with the fact that Clary killed Jonathan. And she did it in such an interesting way. She created this special rune.
Yes, I hugged him to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, kill him with kindness.
Yeah.
No, but in essence what it is it's a little bit of an homage to the books, because in the books she does a very similar, she stabs him in the book, but she does a very similar thing in that she obliterates all of the demonic nature from him. And in doing so, what that in essence does is it kills him.
Yeah.
Because there isn't, he was made demonic in utero, and so he doesn't even have enough human or enough Nephilim in him to survive, which is sort of the tragedy of Jonathan. You see at the last second, you see his hair turn red, you see all of this.
Yeah.
And when Luke, this was the last scene, obviously, that Luke Baines and I shot together, who is just one of my favorite humans. I came around the corner of that car during rehearsal, and we both instantly just started crying, because we didn't want this journey to be over. And I just remember coming around the corner and going, look at you and your demonness. I'm just so proud of you. Because he just looked so majestic with the whole thing. And he'd really finally come into his own.
Did you guys have to wear blackout contacts?
No, that was all CGI.
Okay.
Folks VFX, they are just dreamboats with everything they've done for our show. They've created the magic of the world. They've created all of the things that we see as tennis balls and, you know, stunt guys in little suits on set with sticks in their hands. They make it magical, and they make it wonderful. But, you know, back to the whole Jonathan-Clary relationship. Jonathan's my favorite character from the books, and getting to work with 2 of my favorite human beings, with Will Tudor, with Luke Baines, on a relationship that's my favorite one, or one of my favorite sort of weird dichotomous relationships on the show. It was like, I was a kid in a candy store.
You are our big Malik shipper.
I am. Well,
Number
between
1.
Nicola and I think we're the captains of the Malik ship.
You are the captains of the Malik ship. I will be one of your skippers. I'm very excited. The Malik wedding. These still are beating hearts.
I know.
When you walked into set and you saw the extravagant nature of it all, what was your initial reaction?
So I was there training with one of our boxing coaches that morning. So I snuck into set to look at it before anyone else was there, when they were still building it. And I was speechless. It took my breath away. I mean, leave it to Magnus Bane to create the most beautiful wedding imaginable.
Madsy is the flower girl.
It's perfect.
Oh, and that kiss.
And sort of, if you look like Clary and Isabel and Maris's dress and and Ariana's dress, they're all kind of coordinated, Madsy's dress. If you look at it, it was kind of in our minds that he had picked out dresses for all of the special people in his life as well. And
You guys were
Katarina's
like
as
the
well.
bridesmaids.
Yeah, so when you put it all together, it came to such a cohesive unit. But I don't think anyone had to try to cry during the wedding. I think just because it had become it was such a full circle element for all of us with the Malik wedding season 1, and I was sitting next to Alberto in both weddings, and it just came full circle for everyone, and it was very touching.
Yeah. At the Malik wedding is when we really got to see that Clary was getting her Shadowhunter status stripped away from her. Her runes were disappearing, and I did not want to believe that it was actually all going to happen.
Yeah.
And then we see that final dance with you and Jace. We see the letter, and then we see that it's all gone.
That was our last day on set.
Really?
That was our last shooting day. It was all of the Malik wedding reception with the dance and with all those scenes with me and Alberto and me and Nicola and me and Dom. Actually, that scene with Dom was the last scene we shot for the show. And I couldn't have asked for a better way to wrap it all up. Those were the scenes that, from the moment I read the script, I couldn't get through them without crying. Because Todd and Darren did such a beautiful job of culminating not only everything that these characters' relationships encompass, but also each of us as human beings and as co-workers and family and whatever you want to call us, because it's far beyond that. So that made that day so special, and it was almost more fun because I didn't really have to work for the emotion because it was there.
Yeah.
So and that's actually, people have often asked me what my favorite Clace scene is, what my favorite Clace scene is from the finale, and it's that one, when we're dancing right there before I walk away, because you never see Clary profess her love, really, even in the books. And in the books and in the show, that's the one moment that she does, and that speech is taken directly from the books as well. And so it brought everything full circle with Jace, with his piece, and Clary, and it was just the most beautiful moment for me.
And then we had the 1-year time jump.
Yes.
And then we had the 1-year time jump. We
Then
were
come the
introduced. Yes, we were introduced to a brand new Clary, and we got to see that she is fully in her artistic abilities now.
Yeah.
And they see each other, and she recognizes him. Talk to me about this scene.
So this scene, it's very interesting because there have been so many questions posed throughout the series of what would Clary have been like had she never found the Shadow World?
Yeah.
What would have happened to her life if she'd gone to the Brooklyn Academy of Art and made it through and gone that route instead? And this is sort of the essence of what that would have been. This is the Clary that would have been. And so we really wanted to take a moment and depart as much as we could from the Shadow World.
Yeah.
With her look, with her hair, with the way she dresses, and with everything about her. And yet, there's something about her connection with Jace.
Yeah.
There's something about, that's what started the series off when they bumped into each other in the alley outside Pandemonium. She has the sight. She can see through the glamour and always has been able to and always will be able to. And it's that connection with Jace that goes beyond any angelic spite. It goes beyond anything. And that kind of brings everything full circle and leaves for sort of the open ending of what could happen next.
In your mind, what could happen next?
See, what I love about the last scene is that I didn't even know when we were shooting it, but they caught certain little things, little smirks and glimmers in the eyes between me and Dom, and it leaves it open kind of for the potential, did she remember all along?
Yeah.
Did she remember in that moment when she saw Jace?
Yeah.
Or is she about to remember? Is it all going to come flooding back? We don't know. And we may never know. But that's the best thing about the Shadow Fam, is that they love to discuss and deliberate. And so I leave it to you.
We don't know. They don't know. What do you think?
I think there's certain things in your subconscious as a being of whatever sort, be it Nephilim or human or otherwise. You know things. You have instinct. There's something that, and when you click with a person, that connection goes beyond anything. And I think that's essentially what it is these two people are connected.
Yeah.
And they're drawn to each other, and they always will be, no matter what. And so whether or not she remembers, she will come to learn about the Shadow World one way or another, because they're meant to be.
I love that you had mentioned the scene from the pilot where Clary saw Jace outside of Pandemonium, because we have that scene for you.
Aww.
And what I want to do is I want you to watch that scene right now and tell us everything you remember about filming it.
Okay.
Any behind the scenes tidbits. So we will go ahead and let that moment roll.
For sure.
Thanks for being our roadie.
So this was.
Of course.
This scene was actually shot in the soundstage, this particular one.
So
I don't
you
think we
went on
actually
stage
shot that
tonight
one
as
on the
Champagne
location.
Emma.
We had to reshoot it later on because I
What
think
were
they
we
wanted to
thinking,
change
right?
something. But
We're rock solid.
we had so much fun with
Yeah,
that
we
Panda
are.
Van over the
Rock solid
years. We
Panda,
called it the
come
Panda
on.
Van
I'm feeling inspired.
because it smelled like gasoline inside and out, and so you couldn't sit in it too long. But okay, now this cuts to the street. This was the first scene I shot with Dom. In the show,
What's
and
that
so
say?
it made for kind of again the perfect full circle,
Weird.
having it
Didn't even
come
mean to draw
from
that.
this
Second
scene
time today.
to the other scene being
You
the
know
first
they
scene
have
and the last
confirmed
scene that we
cases
shot.
of waking
being
up in the
sort of
morning
these
speaking
parallels,
French,
but
and they never can study the language.
I just
oh, Shailene, I
that's
miss her. She played
Sanskrit,
Maureen on the
maybe.
show. That Pandemonium sign they took to like every Comic Con for the longest.
Hey, can
Oh,
you watch
there
where
it
you're
is.
going?
You can see me?
Yeah, that's kind of the point, but you obviously didn't see me.
You have the
Man, I
sight.
forgot how sassy she
Wait, the
was.
what?
How can I not know who you are?
Has that line seriously ever worked for you? Even once?
It's so funny to see these characters like this because you
Jake.
have Jace who became so committed
Yeah.
and so wonderfully monogamous by the end of the show, who wasn't at the beginning.
You guys believe that
They should have worn
Blondie?
that vest
You
more
mean the
often. That vest
imaginary
looks
dude
great
you're
on
talking
Dom.
No, the guy right there running into the club. Clary,
Aw,
there's
Frodo with
nobody
his
there.
glasses.
The guy covered in tats. Like,
What guy are you talking about?
oh, you guys seriously don't see him? No.
Clary, you're crazy.
Okay, could you stop making me feel insane?
No,
Did you
Clary, we
stop
don't
acting
see the
that way?
tattooed man.
Clary, what was in your latte? Where are you
Sure,
going?
let's run after
get snacks.
the
Remember, your
tattooed
fake
man
ID
into the bar
sucks.
on your 18th birthday, because that's what you do.
oh
Live a
yeah.
little, Frey.
When you see the hot tattooed man run into the bar that nobody else can see, but only you can, yes, you chase after
You
him.
have to follow the unicorn. It's like a
Yes.
unicorn. You have to follow the unicorn. It's true. No, that's so amazing to see. And I remember we had McGee directing that episode. So it became such a sense of play for all of us. We were still discovering what the world was. We were still discovering these characters and their relationships and kind of the essence of what the show would be. But that really did set us off on a beautiful path for the rest of the series to have that moment of play, because we did become so close personally that it puts you at ease immediately and lets you kind of explore these characters in a new way.
We are going to start diving into fan questions.
Yes, let's do it. We're here for you. This is Shadow Fam Therapy.
We're going to kick off with a special fan question from our friend Abnormally Adam.
Hi, babe.
We love you, Adam.
Mwah.
And Adam wants to know, so he watched the finale last night. He was speechless.
I watched your reaction already. I woke up this morning. It was the first thing I did. So thank you.
Okay, so Adam wants to know, seeing how far Clary has come since the first season, did you feel like she came full circle at the end of the series? Was there anything you would have liked to see happen in the finale?
I mean, there's so much I would have loved to have seen happen in the finale, but I really do credit Todd and Darren with doing such an amazing job of wrapping everything up as much as we possibly could in the time that we had. I think if there's anything more I would have liked to see, it would have been nice to see an extra moment of Clary having come into her own as a Shadow Hunter, because that's ultimately what our ideal is for season 4, is to take her full-on military soldier and to see, and that would be her way of redeeming herself for all of the things that she did as Dark Clary, for all of the kind of transgressions and all of the mistakes she's made. She was going to go full tilt, almost in the vein of Alex season 1.
Interesting.
And go kind of that direction. So I would have loved to have seen that and explored that, because I had so many plans. But for the situation, what it was, I thought having the ending as bittersweet and as beautiful as it was really made it so lovely.
Yeah. We're getting in so many of your fan comments right now. Let's kick us off. Shelby Hoskins said, why didn't Clary tell Jace that she was leaving in person?
He wouldn't have let her go. You know this. This is why, and that's why those scenes were so hard for me to do. The scene with Alberto and the scene with Dom at the very end. Because I had to keep the emotion at bay.
Yeah.
Without, letting what I was actually feeling completely fall out of my eyeballs. But that's the thing, because either one of them would not have let her leave.
Yeah.
They would have said, no, we're going to find a way to fix this. There's a way around this. When Clary knows full well that there isn't. And she made the choice in full awareness to take care of Jonathan,
Yeah.
knowing that it was going to cost her everything.
Okay, we've got some really good ones right now. Sabrina Gomez says, did you cry while losing your runes because you had to or because those were real tears?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I have to say it was very funny. The last couple days on set, putting on our runes every morning became such a routine.
Yeah.
And it became kind of part of the transformation into the character. And those last few days, I didn't get to put all my runes on. And there were days where we would sit there and take them off in the middle of scenes, and it was weird. It felt like a piece of me had been taken away. And it still does sometimes.
Yeah.
Looking back at old pictures covered in runes, I miss them. And it's funny how when something's on your skin for so long, it becomes a part of you. And that's very true for the finale, which is why I think it was written so beautifully, is because they hit all of the points that all of us couldn't put into words. And they did it so beautifully to make sure that we did justice and honored this world that we all created.
I'm not sure if you are a tattoo person or a tattoo fan, but would you get a Shadowhunters tattoo?
I have 3. I do, and it's actually it's Dom Sherwood's fault. I'll tell him that. But I'm so thankful for it, and this is honestly what I love about being big brothered by the Shadow fam, because they have kind of pushed me outside my comfort zone in ways that I never thought I would. But I learned so much, and I grew so much, and I needed the little bit of corrupting that they gave me, because they're just the most wonderful, wonderful people. But yeah, so we had a lot of us ended up getting the Angelic rune for season 1.
Amazing.
And then for each season, I've gotten another tattoo. I don't, can you see it from there? Can I angle myself in my dress? There, you can kind of see it. There's many pictures on the internet of my of these tattoos, but it's kind of, for me, has been a way to mark each season, picking each rune for different reasons and moving forward.
Okay, so Katka Kiss wants to know, what do you like the most about Clary?
What I love the most about her is that she's not perfect.
Yeah.
She's half angel, yes, but she's also half human. And she has the best of intentions, and she will be the person who always has hope and who always wants to do the right thing. But sometimes she's selfish, and sometimes she doesn't understand the consequences. And she makes mistakes, and she makes rash decisions without thinking things through, and falls on her face half the time, literally and figuratively if you watch the outtakes. But ultimately what that does is it creates a character that is relatable and is human. And I have learned so much from Clary about how it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make these mistakes as long as you can pick yourself back up.
Morganville 94 wants to know, what is your favorite Clary quote? There's so many good ones.
There are so many good ones. My favorite Clary quote, I have to say, it comes from my favorite scene, just because it was a book quote and because it was such a moment. The first one that comes to my head is Clary's speech to Jace when they're dancing at the Malik wedding. Just because there's something so beautiful about the way she says, every single cell in my body loves you. And because of how, I don't know, maybe it makes me a science nerd, but the way it works, it's so beautifully, it's such a beautiful metaphor for what their love is. And I love that moment.
My one almost caveat about the scene that you're talking about between Jace and Clary is, as she's walking out, she says, I need to get some air. And she's clearly upset. She's clearly crying. And she walks out. My first thought was, Jace would never let her leave the room that upset.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. Well, and that was mostly just me, because that was the last shot I had to do for the show. That was the last shot that was filmed of Shadowhunters, was me walking away. And I was standing there holding Dom's hand, and behind him was Matt and Harry and Emerald and Alberto and David Castro and Jade and Javi and Steve Byers and all of these people who have created our family for so many years. And I just had to turn and walk away. But what's the funny part, which is such a beautiful thing and so personifies what our show and our crew was, is I came around the corner and there was our production manager and producers in 80s with trays of champagne flutes, just waiting for us to be done, not knowing we were still shooting, and kind of caught there like a little cat with the canary. And it made me laugh so hard, because I went, yes, we're filming this beautiful, sad moment, and you're there waiting, ready to celebrate with all of us. And that's the kind of teamwork that is the show.
Problematic Reader wants to know about filming that scene with the mother, Jocelyn. That scene, seeing the two of you guys back together, what was it like?
It was, again, another moment that was so circuitous. But it was so nice to have Maxim back. Because she was one of the first actors I shot with on the show. And Clary hasn't really had a mother on the show since she left. Because Maris only recently has become kind of a mother figure to her. So she's been, she's had Luke being a father figure, but she hasn't really had that maternal love. Since her mother died, since finding her mother in that room with her heart literally out of her chest. And so when Clary turns that corner, the last person she expects to see is her mother. And I loved the way that scene was written just because it was so jarring and tragic, and that she has this swell of joy seeing her mother that she never thought she'd see again. And then her mother takes away the one thing that makes her who she is, and the one reason that she finally feels as though she's found her place.
Not her mom.
Not her mom, but her mom is the messenger.
Yeah, her mom is the messenger, but I'm like, her mom didn't do it.
No, Raziel did it, so we need to have a conversation with Raziel.
Yeah.
But that she is the bearer of the bad news, and it's kind of this very weird, jarring moment, but it was so beautifully done, and Max and I just had the best time creating that scene and playing within it, and it was a lovely way. It was the last day shooting in Clary's bedroom as well. Wow. So it was a lovely way to say goodbye to that set and to her and that relationship and that part of Clary's life.
Elisa Irola wants to know, what is your favorite rune?
If it's not the angelic rune, because that's something that is obvious, I always love the shapeshifter rune. It was one of the first runes that we created for the show that didn't exist in the books, so it made it a little special because it was ours. And then ultimately, somebody told me a long time ago that, as an actor, you're a shapeshifter. You change, you move, you create new people, and you change who you are to fit these molds. And that's always really felt right to me.
We're going to take a couple more fan questions. Katie CS wants to know, can you tell us who cried the most on the last day on set?
Me? Hi. 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 Everyone will tell you I was a mess. Mostly because I had to cry for the scenes. So, and actually, the first scene we shot that day was me walking down the hallway by myself, seeing everything disappear. So I started off my day in tears. And it became sort of, again, it was very cathartic and a very great way to say goodbye, because I spent all day doing all those scenes, and the last shot I had to cry. But I'll never forget, there's a moment, we had just wrapped, and we had the wrap party in the soundstage, in the Institute, all decorated for the wedding. We basically had our own Malik wedding reception after we were done shooting the Malik wedding reception. And they kind of let us run amok all over set. But we had the champagne toast, we just said goodbye, and we were about to go change to come back for the party. And I remember stopping at the edge of the Institute set in my wardrobe and going, if I take one more step, that's the last time I'm going to be on set as Clary. And I didn't want to move. I was actually standing next to Brian, the makeup artist, and I turned to him and I went, Brian, I don't want to go. I don't want to move. I don't want this to be over. But it was at that point that I realized that it never really will be, because I looked around at the family that was there. And then now we see the family that exists with you guys and with everything that the show has created. So there isn't really a goodbye. It's just a new beginning.
Yeah. We are getting in so many really great fan questions right now. Layla wants to know, which I'm curious to know about this too. If you could have had more scenes with any other character, who would it have been?
Oh, there's so many. I know. You know who I never got to work with? I never got to work with Chai Hansen.
Oh my gosh.
Who played Jordan Kyle.
Yeah.
I didn't have a single scene with him. I was never on camera with him. So I would have loved to work with him. But of the people I did work with, I mean, there's a list a mile long. I would have loved to work with Harry and Isaiah more. I would have loved to work with Jade and David Castro more. I would have loved to work with Alicia more. I would have loved to work with Nicola more, which I think I would have, because she's my mom now, because she's everybody's mom. By the way, I have to say, I just love that. Is it Maruk? Or is it Mariluke, or whatever the Luke and Maris relationship is?
I think it's Maruk, but correct us if we're wrong. But I love
don't know the proper name.
Yeah.
But they're everybody's parents now, and I love it.
So cute.
It's amazing.
They're so cute.
And they actually are everybody's parents in our personal lives as well, just as an FYI.
They keep everyone in check. Everyone's all taken care of.
Yeah, and they're also the people who check in on us or that we can go to. I can't tell you the number of times I've gone to either or both of them for advice on situations.
I've got to say, one of my favorite scenes of the finale that we haven't talked about just yet was seeing Clary and Izzy have the talk about being each other's parabatai.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so incredible, which made it even more gut-wrenching when you realize that Clary's memories were going to be gone and we were not going to see that bond come to fruition. What was it like for you to realize that as well?
It's very interesting because it's something they had the showrunners had teased for us a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it would have been really exciting, especially given her heavenly fire and Clary's angelic light power, just the fact that they would have been such a powerhouse parabatai bond. But, and seeing, we've seen how wonderful that kind of parabatai relationship and how rich that can be with Jace and Alec. And to have Clary and Izzy grow into that would have been really beautiful. So it is very, very sad that we didn't get to see that. But ultimately, as being the storyteller that I am, it's sort of wonderful how it just played into the gut-wrenchingness of what we got to see later on.
We're going to start to wrap this up. I spoke with the Shadowhunter showrunners,
Todd and
Darren and Todd, yesterday. And I asked them, because all the fans have been dying to know, is this really the end? And they had said, this is the end of this permutation of Shadowhunters. But that's not to say that maybe sometime in the future we could do a reunion special or a movie.
Aww.
And see these characters a couple years down the line and do that. What are your thoughts on that idea?
I'm in. Where do I sign up? I'm there. Let's do it. Honestly, this family, this show, this story is lightning in a bottle. It's rarefied air. And it's family. It always will be. I learned so much from every single person on that set. I grew personally, professionally, artistically, and any opportunity to reunite that family and to go back to this character and this story, I'm in. Say the word and I'm there.
I love that. We're going to end it on one last fan question because Problematic Reader came in with a really great one again. Who is your real-life parabatai? I feel like the entire cast.
Yeah. Like in my life or of the cast?
Let's do both.
In my life, I think I have a parabatai because I have two best friends that I've known since I was probably 9 years old, and I don't even have to speak to them, and they know everything. Like we don't often get to speak because our lives are so crazy, but we keep in touch as we can, and nothing ever changes. And we're always there for each other. And there's those times where you go, I need to check in on so and so, and I need to give this person a call. And ultimately, there's always something going on that we're connected, and we always will be. And that's how I feel about the cast too. I have a very different relationship with each one of them, and that's why I think we get along as such an amazing family, because we're all so different, and each person brings something from the group, but each person is also willing to learn and grow, and that's what's created such a beautiful relationship on and off screen.
Well, as we say goodbye, what is one thing you would like to say to the Shadowhunters family? They've seen the finale.
I think the one thing, and I say this over and over again, is just thank you. You existed as a fandom before the show was even a glimmer in anyone's eye, before any of us were cast. And the fact that you came on this journey with us and you were open to each one of us, you gave us the warmest welcome, and we became a family. But beyond that, you created a community. You created a space for people to feel loved and accepted and seen, and that in and of itself is a beautiful thing that you should be proud of, that isn't going anywhere. So thank you for letting me be a small part of that.
Thank you so much to all of our fans who are watching right now. Thank you so much, Kat, for coming in and having this conversation with us. You can, of course, catch Kat on Arrow. The season finale is on Monday. And if you tune back in next week, I will be having another chat with Kat about Arrow. So stay tuned. But thank you so much, and thanks for watching, Angels.